Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Game of Thrones The Living Card Game 2nd Edition. Today I want to show you a match I recorded some time ago, and unfortunately I had some technical issues, so I did not had all my commentary on it, and so I'm going to do this now and rewatch the video and see what it's going to be. Yes, as you can see, I'm playing a Baratheon deck with the House with the Red Door again agenda, and with the new card, and it's Dragonstone Castle. And what it does is basically a reaction at the beginning of a phase. You can kneel Dragonstone Castle to choose a character, and that character cannot stand until the end of the phase. So yeah, and let's see what we have in setup. I decided to keep the hand because I have a lot of economy, and the agenda allows me to have a 4 gold setup only, and obviously the chosen location, which is Dragonstone Castle, and I thought it was quite a good hand to start. And yeah, let's see. So the opponent is playing the same agenda and House Martell, and his chosen location grants +1 strength for each Martell character for each summer plot card revealed. And yeah, he had quite a few tricks in it, I remember, and so we're going to start with the first plot. I think I'm going to open with a noble cause, because I wanted to play Robert Baratheon, and yeah, that's right. So I chose him to go first because he has his Dornish fiefdoms, I guess it's called, the location that gives you +2 gold if you are the second player. And yeah, I like to go second, especially in this scenario, so you can react to what the opponent is doing. And yeah, so as you can see, we have a little chat down there, and it was really a very nice guy, and I really enjoyed playing against him. Yeah, but basically, if you play on the ironthrone.net, most of the players are quite nice, and it's actually a lot of fun most of the time. Yeah, and it's me complaining about the castle already, because it's it's quite annoying, because at the beginning of each phase you are asked if you want to trigger the ability. So there you can read the ability if you're not familiar. So let's have a look at my hand. I like that I saw Robert Baratheon already. He's kind of a key piece, together with King Stannis. I chose to run 2 kings because I wanted to try the new plot, the King in the North, which I'm going to play later. And I already knew that this plot is really, really strong, and by the time I played it, I was realizing how bonkers this plot is. This is really such a strong plot. It's unbelievable. But we're going to see that later. So now, my opponent marshaled some of his sand snakes, especially Nymeria Sand. Yeah, she can be quite painful because she has the ability to steal a challenge icon from character, and every Sand Snake character gains the same icon. Yeah, I think at this time I was debating whether to play Rob or not, but I chose to play him because I was kind of afraid my opponent could have Tears of Leas, but in this case I thought I still have a Hand's Judgment, and I could be, I thought I was well enough protected against that. And actually you don't see Tears of Leas that often these days. Yeah, and I felt that I didn't want to waste the plot. So yeah, his first action is to steal my military icon, and yeah, let's see what the opponent does. Can't really remember. I think he's starting with an intrigue to see if he can kneel. Oh no, he's not initiating any challenge at all. Yeah, maybe because he didn't want me to draw a card because of his plot. So his plot has a forced reaction. After you win a challenge against an opponent, that opponent may draw a card if he wants to. And so now I am basically doing the intrigue challenge and see if I can get it through. I already knew I can't get it through, but I wanted to win dominance. I already saw if I either win the intrigue challenge and have him lose a card, or win dominance. So that's what I wanted to do, and I didn't really want to initiate a power challenge because I was afraid of his Viper Eyes. And winning dominance was very fine at this point for me. So he fully defends with strength 4. I can draw a card, and it's King Stannis. And yeah, now I'm done with my challenges and I win dominance, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I don't want to use Dragonstone Castle in that phase. I wanted to wait one more phase. Yeah, unfortunately in the beginning of the match there weren't so many worthy targets for this card. Basically I knelt his, or I kept knelt. I kept all his reducers knelt in the beginning to make it a little bit harder for him to play out some characters. Don't know if that was the right choice, but yeah. I don't know if it would have been more worthwhile to use Dragonstone Castle to keep his intrigue icons knelt. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Yeah, the thing with King Stannis is that you have to win dominance, and as I realized, I don't really have enough tech in my deck to ensure that I win dominance. Yeah, and I forgot that I have to win dominance when I played him. Because I didn't really want to create such a Bara deck with the Iron Throne and Chamber of the Painted Chair. No, Painted Table. Such a deck, because it's actually quite annoying. But I guess I have to make some changes. So what I basically wanted to achieve with this deck is to have some kneel options, some control options, and yeah, this was my first match, and I have to figure out how to improve a little bit. I wasn't all too happy with it, but it was not terrible. And so yeah, my opponent plays new Ariane, which has the ability to send a character back to hand. And yeah, I haven't seen her before, and let's see what we can do to play around her or to get rid of her. So now I'm playing Stannis. And I still have some gold left. And yeah, I played my fiery followers just to get a little bit of board presence. And now my opponent probably uses Nymeria first, and he has a lot of gold left, 4 gold, and that was the reason for me to keep some gold for me as well. I have 2 Hands Judgment, what is great against Martell, I guess, because they have such impactful shenanigans, and I didn't really want to suffer the consequences of not being prepared against it. So he chooses to steal my intrigue icon, which allows him to get each intrigue he initiates through, because even his green blood traders have only they do have 2 strength, and in attack they win. The reason for me not to play Stinking Drunk at this point was because I didn't feel there was a good target, because I can use Dragonstone Castle to kneel one of his knelt character, to keep one of his knelt characters kneeling, and I knew that Ariane is going to disappear eventually, and yeah, I didn't feel that bothered that I lost it due to the intrigue challenge. So now he's doing a power challenge. I think I'm going to oppose it with Robert, just to gain renown. Passive power gain is always good. And yeah, at that point I didn't really care about the intimidate all too much. Because even if Nymeria is kneeling, she can still do her shenanigans, and yeah, there isn't so much benefit it brings. So he uses Ariane to get rid of my fiery followers, which is actually quite nice because it makes winning dominance harder. And at this point, I think I lose dominance. I'm doing a power challenge, just to get some power unopposed and powerful claim. Yeah. So the opponent wins dominance, and he's quite a lot. He's way ahead in dominance, and so I don't have any chance to win it. And again, I'm using the Dragonstone Castle to keep his reducer knelt. So at this point I decided I have to draw some cards to get some dupes for my big guys, and or maybe a bodyguard or something, or maybe to see Mel to get the Neil train going. So the opponent plays Valar Harris. I can see why he did it, but probably a turn too early. Maybe. I don't know. But at this point, it didn't really hurt for me. It didn't really hurt me all that much. Yeah, I decided to keep my reducer to have more options. Yeah, and the Ashai Priestess is... Yeah, it's not such a good character, because if he uses Nymeria again, she has no icon left and is basically a standing character and counts only for dominance. And I can use the reducer either way, no matter what happens. So that was my thought behind all of this. So, and we already draw another copy of Stannis. And let's see what we are doing. So we are the first player. And we have 3 gold. I think I'm going to play... Yeah, what do I play? I actually don't know. It's good. We saw a Begging Brother, which is a really great card against this matchup. It helps against Nymeria Sand. It helps against Arianne Martell. It basically completely shuts Arianne down, what's great. But unfortunately, I did not have enough gold to put any gold on my Begging Brother, so I decided to wait for the next turn to play him, and yeah. But it's good to see this guy in the matchup against Martell. I kept 2 gold, probably because I was a little bit tempted by my event, Ours is the Fury, to play it and to stand Robert in defense after he was knelt in offense. That would have been great, but let's see what happens. Yeah, and the opponent misclicked, and that happens. So I think it's important if someone is marshalling a card or kneeling a card online and it's apparently a mistake. I think that's something that happens, and something that's not going to happen when you play face to face in real life. And so some players are very strict and say, no, you played it, so everything stays as it is. But yeah, I think online mistakes happen easily. So now we see I wanted to play Scene in Flames, obviously, which was a very good choice because, as you can see, my opponent has You Murdered Her Children, and I have to get rid of this, basically, because the opponent could probably just boost Ariane's strength up to 10, and then use her ability to bounce Robert back to my hand, and I cannot let this happen. So this was basically the only choice I had. I had to discard that. So I was very lucky to play this early enough. Yeah, still my board is not that impressive. Only 3 characters, and I know the opponent has Area Hotel. We saw him when we used Scene in Flames. That's something you should always be aware of. Yeah. And now that I played Scene in Flames, I don't have enough money for Ours is the Fury, which would have been a good way to counter Ariel if he wants to use him for military and to kill some of my guys. And this is especially a very difficult situation because I know he is going to bounce a character back to hand due to Ariane Martell, and if he ambushes Hota in and wins a military challenge, there's only a Robert left on the board, and as we can, it's pretty safe to assume, I guess, that Martell runs much to the wall. And if I let this happen, I'm lost. I'm really lost, and I'm going to lose the game. So I chose to intimidate Nymeria. And I do an intrigue challenge. That was probably a mistake, I think, because yeah, or no, maybe not a mistake, but I wanted him to kneel Ariane, and he does not. He bounces her back and stops the intrigue. What he probably should have done is to simply defend the intrigue. He would have, because Ariane had insight, and he could have drawn a card. But yeah, okay, it's fine. Yeah, I think I wanted to do the intrigue so that he cannot steal any power, and afterwards bounce her back. And yeah, so now he's doing an intrigue. I can obviously not defend because I don't have any intrigue icons on the board, and all my characters are kneeling. And let's see what he picks. The Hand's Judgment. Yeah, it's a nice pull, I guess. At least later I thought I would like to have another Hand's Judgment. But we have another one, and let's see. And there we go. he uses the Iron Bank will have its due. I wanted to check the correct wording of it, just to see clear what happens if I cancel. And yeah, I had to cancel it. So yeah, it's what I said. It was quite obvious that he wanted to try this move to win to bounce in area hotel, win a military challenge, kill my Dragonstone faithful, and then march Robert to the wall. Yeah, and again, we have a little chat about what happens, and yeah, this Mac was he was really a nice guy. So yeah, and because there are no other valuable targets, I decide to use Dragonstone Castle on the reducer and go on. At this point, I was thinking about playing King in the north, but I chose to play Calm over Westeros. Yeah, simply for a little bit protection, I guess. And for the money, but the other plot has 5 gold as well, so I guess that was not too much of an issue. So I won initiative, he's going to be the first player, and I chose intrigue, claim to be reduced. So we see our first copy of Mel, and at first I wanted to play my begging brother, and I think I ended up playing Mel, probably because he did not play Ariane, and therefore I chose to change my plans. The other great card we see in hand is the Red Keep, which is basically my draw engine. And yeah, spoiler alert, unfortunately during the whole game I didn't play it, because at this point I needed more characters just to get a better board presence, and later I felt like I didn't need to draw too much anymore, and yeah, which is quite a shame actually. If you see the Red Keep, you want to play it. So now the opponent plays Area Hota without this effect. Yeah, and I had to double check why the opponent characters all have a strength buff of 2. But yeah, that's the thing. This location grants 1 strength for each summer plot revealed. I always like these winter and summer plot cards that work if there is only one of these plot cards revealed. So like that, like this card. It always works as long as you have a summer plot card, and it ignores probably if there's probably a winter plot card played by the opponent. This can mess quite a lot of your plans actually. especially if you're playing winter plot cards or you have some winter plot strategy, because I feel like summer plots are much more prominent in the current meta, and they can cancel your plans entirely. For example, if you play Fish Whiskers, the Greyjoy card that can help you with unopposed challenges as long as there are more winter plot cards revealed than summer plot cards. So this card is actually nice, I think. I don't know if it's worth 3 strength, but if you wanna use these abilities, these Martell abilities, with the new Ariane or probably with Quentin Martell, I think it can be quite decent. But I haven't checked it, and I haven't tested it, so maybe I will do someday. I really like to play, or I'd really love to play more Martell, because I think a lot of cards are very good, and you always hate them if the opponent plays them against you. Yeah. But I think I'm not all too good in this game to really see the finesse you have. I don't really have the finesse to play Martell or to play it good, because I think you have to have a lot of understanding how the game works and so on, and so yeah, maybe this would become better if I played more Martell and learned all these mechanics, but someday we'll see. And I'm really looking forward to the new Martell expansion box. Yeah. So what happens? Basically, the opponent initiated an intrigue, which I could not oppose because he stole Melisandre's intrigue icon, but the claim value was 0. At this point, I knew, if I remember correctly, I was really afraid of him having tears, because I burned through almost half my deck and didn't see any protection for Robert. And it would have been quite a pain if he died due to Tears of Lys. And yeah. But ultimately this intrigue challenge only gave him 1 power for unopposed, and his military challenge was completely blocked by Robert, and I am glad to return the favor, and my bastard in hiding kills one of his guys. So my military challenge was my power challenge basically was not as successful as I hoped, because he played his burning event, Burning in the Sand, and yeah, that reduced my claim. So at this point I decided to use Dragonstone Castle on Nymeria, because she actually can still steal my icons, but the opponent cannot use it. At least not with Nymeria. If he plays another Sand Snake, he can. But I felt like it was much more predictable with her standing, with her kneeling instead of with Ariohota kneeling. So now this is the big turn. This is the King in the North turn, and this is such a great plot. I can hardly describe it. Although the plot was spoiled some time ago, and you already knew that this is very impactful, especially against a deck that does, especially if you run kings and the opponent does not. Because of what I realized when I played it, that the opponent could not benefit from his good econ he already played. So he only played limited locations that grant any reduction or gold if you trigger their abilities, but the opponent couldn't. So in this turn I completely shut down all his shenanigans and his economy. Was great. It's really, really great, and I think this plot is going to see a lot of play because the effect is very useful and the stats are very decent as well. I think 5 gold is very, very good. 6 reserve. Yeah, it's pretty normal. It's good. It's not overwhelming, but it's what you usually see on most plots. Yeah, the initiative is 2, and that's it's not a plot you use to win initiative, but still it's not awful. And all of this combined, I think it's a very good plot, and it's I think it's very good that this plot is limited to be only once in your plot deck. So the opponent is realizing that he has no gold from his locations at this point. Yeah, and this is really the moment when I start to realize how big this plot is. I almost felt bad for playing it. So we are at 10 power, the opponent at 4. So let's see if we can close it out this round. Probably not, because we are lacking a little bit of renown buddies. But yeah, we are going to see what happens. So we have Littlefinger and in another Great Hall. Yeah, actually, our hand is not awful, but I think at this point I'm glad to see Littlefinger to simply draw into some cards, get some options, and yeah, first of all, let's see what the opponent does. And as the opponent is thinking about what to do, I'm giving some thoughts about the plot as well. Yeah, I really wonder if this plot makes king characters great again. I mean, there are still king characters that are great. For example, King Renly. He's really good. He's really good, and he sees a lot of play. But besides him, there are you rarely see a lot of kings in play. Sometimes you see King Balon and King Stannis or King Robert, but Baratheon is currently not played too much, I guess. So I rarely play against Baratheon, and yeah, probably this plot helps because Targaryen and Targaryen burn decks are really great at the moment, and they don't have good kings. They have Viserys Targaryen in the king version, but that's a card. I don't know. Do you want to play him? I think you actually can play him, but I rarely see him played, and so this plot really hurts Targaryen. So I chose to play the Fiery Followers because all his characters did have more strength than 2, so the Shy Priestess reaction would be would have no effect, and therefore I decided to simply try to win dominance to gain more power to reach my goal, probably in this round. But yeah, as you can see right here, I don't know if there would have been a way to do it, but I doubt it. First of all, a power challenge. So I chose to use both of them to make sure that I can definitely intimidate Ariel Hotar. Yeah. And he obviously had to oppose it, because otherwise I really would have been too far ahead because of unopposed challenges. So now I could do I did an intrigue, and I wanted to make sure I win it, so I used Littlefinger. So we had to discard a card for claim. And it's Nymeria's hand. That's good. It's always good to see her being discarded for claim. So I did a military challenge with the Fiery Followers because at the beginning of the dominance phase they stand again. And yeah, so I get 1 power from unopposed, and then I win dominance, so I'm at 14 power. And yeah, and we have to go another round. And he kills Hotar. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Why did he kill Hotar and not the Greenblood trader? So finally, I could use Dragonstone Castle on a good target like Darkstar. So this was a good target for the first time in this match, I thought. Yeah, so now my finishing plot to close it all out, and I chose to go first, and that's basically, I thought that's basically the game. Because I saw another renowned body, I saw Baratheon, who is a Rolor character, so I could kneel another character, and yeah. I have 2 renowned bodies, a lot of power, icons on the board, a lot of strength on power, which is awesome. So I triggered Melisandre. But actually, I was afraid when I played it, because I realized that the opponent has a lot of gold left, and he could have played probably Ariane Martell for 2 gold, and yeah, if he had Ariane Martell and another You Murdered Her Children event, she could have bounced Robert back to my hand, and the bodyguard doesn't save from being put to hand. So this was probably a mistake. I went too greedy. I should have played my begging brothers, but fortunately for me, yeah, the opponent didn't seem to have one of these events in hand, and so he concedes. Yeah, what I can say is I think the deck is interesting. I like it. I have to make some changes to make it a little bit more competitive, especially probably I use some attachments or something. I just have to use something to ensure that I win dominance, because if I don't win dominance, King Stannis is much worse. So he's not completely useless, but yeah, almost useless. Yeah. So if you had fun, hit the like button and probably subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a nice time. See you around.